Hello and welcome to Moneylife. I'm going to talk about the state of Haryana today. But before I do that, nothing surprises us anymore, does it? When we talk about what the state does, how people are exploited, and how we pay the cost of all kinds of things. Over the last few days, the Times of India has been reporting how 5 states have passed laws, not recently. The first one, Uttar Pradesh, as far back as 1981, under Prime Minister, then Chief Minister VP Singh, who later went on to become the Prime Minister, that the state would pay the taxes for all legislators. And 5 other states have followed suit. Over the last few years, many of these MLAs from the states are crorepattis, declaring incomes that run into tens of crores, and the state foots the bill, the tax bill. Something that this video blog has been going on and on about in terms of taxtortion. Now, are you surprised that people are not sympathetic about taxtortion? Because the state takes care of their taxes. Having read that, I feel nothing surprises us anymore. But there are still things going on that are worth reading, hearing, listening, and viewing. So we are going to talk about one of those today. This is a curious case of SpiceJet versus the Gurugram Rapid Metro and what the people of Haryana have to face, or the bill that they're going to foot. So let's start with, first of all, what is making news in the last week. Just yesterday, the court has decided that the spanking metro, which was started in 2013 by DLF, and connects a whole lot of areas around DLF's cities like the Cyber City, is going to continue operating till October, say around the 16th. Why the 16th? We don't know, but we're going to come to it later. This is a loss-making metro, making such humongous losses, and as I've said before in this video blog, it has now been conclusively proven that ridership numbers were exaggerated by the famous or infamous Infrastructure Leasing and Financial Services and its entities. In fact, it's being run by 2 entities of il&fs. One is called the Rapid Metro Gurugram Limited, which is one phase, and Rapid Metro Gurugram South Limited, which is another phase. Now, don't bother with the names of these 2 entities because they are little siblings or babies of il&fs, which is completely bankrupt, and we're trying to find a solution. Now, the beauty is that this padded up metro, which today has a ridership of barely 55,000 persons, had claimed through an il&fs report that there would be a ridership of 1 lakh per day in just the first phase and about 6 lakhs after the 2 phases. Both phases done. 5 years later, the ridership is just 55 lakhs. And yet, an agreement was signed with the Huda, which is a Haryana government entity, that imposed all kinds of terms on Huda, a concession agreement which virtually had Haryana say, I will take the blame for a lot of things that go wrong. And believe it or not, this loss-making project actually served termination notices on Huda. The project was terminated, went to before a judge who says that Huda will keep paying the bill and this metro will keep running at the latest till October 16th. Litigation will go on. The 2 sides will trade charges. So this is Haryana for you, where a dubious project started by DLF, completely loss-making, looks good. So the 55,000 people who use it every day are very happy. Doesn't matter that most of the bill is going to be taken care of by the ordinary people and another state entity. So ultimately, it's just the people who pay, right? Okay, now let's look at something else. On 3rd September, the government of Haryana allowed SpiceJet to start a flight between Hisar and Chandigarh. This is just a 7-seater aircraft, just 7 seats, okay? And on 4th September, Mr. Ashok Khemka, a very famous bureaucrat who is upright, honest, and thanks to his honesty and the fact that he raises issues which are of public interest, he has been transferred about 45 times or more in his career. But he doesn't give up. He's dogged, untiring, and he's written a letter on 4th September to the government asking them a few questions about this flight. What he says will make your eyes pop. He says that each person who's going to fly on that flight is got to be subsidized to the extent of 3,500 rupees. Each person. And there are only 7 people who can fly at any time. Why is this flight so important? Is this place, Hisar, somewhere in the back of beyond, the northeast, in the hills, not connected? No. In fact, Mr. Khemka's letter says that it's well connected by a network of expressways and highways. Not by rail as yet, but well connected. But no, they want a flight. Now, this 3,500 rupee subsidy per passenger amounts to a 70% subsidy on the ticket. Okay? If that weren't enough, they have reduced the value added tax on aviation turbine fuel from 20% to 1% as another lollipop for SpiceJet to start this flight. This is also pointed out by Mr. Khemka. Now take a look at what this means. This is something again that Mr. Khemka has asked the government. He's made a comparison between what a person pays on a non-air conditioned Haryana state bus that goes from Hisar to Chandigarh, and look at his calculations. So the ticket cost he finds is 240 rupees. Okay. So how is this 240 rupees broken up? He discovers that a ticket which is 240 non-AC bus has a variety of taxes, unlike the taxes that are being waived for the flight. What are these taxes? 65 rupees out of the ticket cost is taxes alone. And they are a tax of 40% under the Haryana Motor Vehicles Act, 13 rupees collected as toll. Then there is a VAT surcharge on diesel of rupees 12. Now each bus carries about 54 people. So multiply that by what they're going to pay as tax. And what is the number you come up with? 3,510. So well-to-do people, 7 privileged people who will travel every day from Hisar to Chandigarh will get a 3,500 subsidy each. But ordinary people who will struggle to raise the 240 rupees to pay for their bus ticket are taxed heavily, told there's no sympathy or concession for them. Mr. Khemka calls it Robin Hood in the reverse. And he has, of course, given a lot of suggestions, as he always does, to the government. He's pointed out this is not even environmentally friendly. You just increase greenhouse emissions. And he says, why not extend the rail network? There isn't a proper rail network. That would be cheaper, serve a lot more people. And he suggests how the government can improve connectivity by running trains along the Hisar, Narbana, Kaithal, Kurukshetra, Ambala, Chandigarh route. But why would they do it? Because this is election time and they would rather have 7 people flying up and down and a flight available for their convenience with concessions both to the flight operator as well as ticket concessions for those 7 people who are going to be using it every day. This is how the government of the people, by the people, voted in by the people works. Now let's go back. We've talked about road, we've talked about the flight. Now let's go back to this infamous Gurugram metro built by DLF. I've done an entire blog which we can link to, which talks about the absolutely outrageous manner in which the costing was done. It was done by DLFS first, then il&fs came into the picture, bought it over, expanded it, and il&fs, with its nexus between bureaucrats and government officials, manages to get all kinds of things passed by pretending, or it did pretend until it collapsed in September 2018, that it was a kind of government entity, which it wasn't, and we're all paying the price for it. So here's what happens. This matter is in court. It's going to run till 2016. Do you want to know a few fine details about what kind of costs have been dumped over here? Like I said, it's going to run till October 16th. You need to ponder about why is the state government committed to run it only till October 16 and not for the next 3 months or until the end of the calendar year. Because Haryana is going to the polls, election results will be announced, and by the 16th there's a new government. So the problem can be dumped either on the same guys when they come back and find a different solution, or whoever else is going to handle it, right? So that is reason for the date. Now, this, remember, was touted when it came in as a fully privately financed metro system. What's going to happen today? It's going to be fully funded by the people of Haryana, because the entire losses, massive 4,500 crore, are going to be dumped on these people. While they fight each other in court and the litigation will drag on, one of the things that you would notice from all the news reports that are coming out about this litigation is that the two big elephants in the room which caused this damage are nowhere in the scene. So one of them, of course, is il&fs, which padded the project multiple times over. So who are the people who allowed it? There is a CAG report that talked about how the concession agreement is completely loaded in favor of those two SPVs of il&fs, and how Huda has agreed, and I'm going to keep calling it Huda because there are name changes after that, had agreed to take on 80% of the liabilities, right? So nobody is questioning them. There has to be a forensic audit into looking at how the project was sanctioned, who signed off various things, on what basis was the ridership estimated. But because il&fs has failed, and it is a government board that is finding a way to resolve it, no questions are being asked. In fact, I'm told by sources that Mr. Vineet Nair, who is now part of the government appointed board as vice chairman, had gone and approached the Haryana chief minister and said, why don't you take over this loss-making project for about 2,500 crore? The fact is that Haryana is now saddled with a 4,500 crore project. But ultimately, one way or the other, these losses are going to be paid only by these people, and there is no investigation. Other big elephant, as I say, is DLF. The project was conceived by DLF mainly to project its township and to increase realty prices. There is ample evidence on the ground to show that both rentals and property rates soared. This great privately funded metro has a huge cost. If you look at the calculations, the cost of this metro at 400 crores per kilometer is the same that would require underground tunneling. This is an above ground metro on land that belongs to the Haryana government, where, according to experts, the cost should not have been more than 150 crore per kilometer. So, no investigation, no forensic audit, no finding out how this was happened and who signed it. Then we're coming to DLF, which is the biggest beneficiary. It asked for and got land. This is not a small amount of land. This is apart from the land values of its own project. So it has benefited just by appreciation, but it also asked for and got 37 acres of additional FAR, which is floor area ratio, which is equal to 16 lakh square foot of land in the Cyber City project. Now, experts in Haryana say this translates to 1,000 crore. Should it be disgorged? Now, I'm going to run through a few other relevant details about how people are being gypped. So experts say one of the key reasons for low ridership is that the project itself is badly planned. So it was planned in Cyber City. Yes, prices went up, but the elite people who go and work there don't even need a metro. Metro was needed in other parts of Haryana, where people struggle with public transport. Now, if this metro has to be made viable, the government has to spend more money, create linkages, and link it up either to the Delhi metro or to areas where people really need public transport, which means it's throwing more public money over the losses and the misalignment that has already been created in the past. So you do it to correct the problem. The other thing that we hear is about the undue benefits that were given. There's an annual report that shows, you want to know how little money is collected through ticket sales? Just 39%. This is there in the annual report. The rest of it is coming, whatever little revenue is there is coming through advertising. And the combination of these is still loss making. So what happens? They begin to level a whole bunch of allegations against Huda. So they have a litany of things that they claim that Huda should have done. And maybe there is merit in them, there is not, because when people sign one-sided agreements, anything at all can be signed. So they say that commercial land around the metro had to be developed by the concessioners and no permission was given. They needed more permission for advertising. They wanted linkages to offtake people when they get off the metro. So a misaligned metro in a wrong place, but they want the government to invest money in creating other transport to take people and evacuate them into different areas, and as well as create multimodal linkages. Now, why should the government have agreed and signed? Let's look at it. It's a legal matter, which means that the government has agreed to all this nonsense. It shows you how one-sided this agreement was. Ridership figures are fudged, huge consultancy costs are paid. In addition, the government has committed to all this to make that project viable. Why? After giving away land, not only to DLF, but the land on which the project itself is built, right? But who's going to ask bureaucrats who sign off things on your behalf that you are creating perpetual losses for the people? It's thank God for India that we at least have some upright bureaucrats like Mr. Ashok Khemka who are bringing things to the people or writing to the government and helping people who are going to file RTI and other documents to get these details. Like I said, exploitation of the people by those in power, bureaucrats or politicians, shouldn't surprise us anymore. But doesn't this still surprise you? I think you have to hear this so that something provokes you to wake up and join the fight for your rights. Thank you.